to our July Child Q&A. My name is Jacqueline Garborg. I'm Hope for HIE's communication coordinator, and I'm also an HIE parent. I'm here with Annie Gunning, our certified child life specialist and grief counselor. Annie, welcome. Can you share a little bit about your role at Hope for HIE?
Yes, of course. Glad to be here again, talking to you today. As Jacqueline said, I'm a child life specialist and grief counselor. So previously, before joining Hope for HIE, I worked in a hospital setting for 20-something years. And so now that role is really the same. It just has shifted a little bit to this community role of supporting children and families through medical experiences, diagnosis, anything that I can do to help them cope with a stressful medical experience and increase positive coping skills. And this, of course, extends to the siblings. So siblings are often included because we know with any kind of diagnosis, illness, hospitalizations, an entire family is affected. So anything we can do to support and include the whole family.
Awesome. So today we're going to be talking about our most frequently asked questions across our community, as well as some of the more common questions that Annie gets from our HIE families. So jumping right in, the first question that we have is, what questions should I ask before surgery?
Yes, we tried to focus on like questions that we do get all the time or things that I am talking to families a lot. And one thing that I do want to make sure that we point out, we'll probably talk about this a little bit, everything can be very individualized for your family. I am offering just general information, but I love to speak with families individually so I can figure out exactly what will work best for your child and for your family. But in general, if you're preparing for a surgery, when you're on the phone, like having that conversation with the hospital or the office, asking about parental presence during induction, is that allowed? So when they're going to be getting the anesthesia, at what point are you having to say, see you later to your child is important so they can be prepared for that. Ask for child life. Do you have a child life specialist there? Are they going to be there during pre-op for preparation, for support, for distraction? Just again, to help with that positive coping and the preparation before the IV or the surgery, the distraction. You can also bring comfort items. I'm always a big fan of like a hospital bag kind of in your car, especially if you have to go to the hospital or doctor's offices frequently, but just bringing those comfort items. So if there's a lovey or a blanket, bringing those things and asking, can the child have those beforehand, or do they have to wear certain clothes beforehand, and preparing for that? Because for some kids, changing into that gown or certain textures are very bothersome. So what exactly should they be wearing? And is there a possibility that they can be changed, or we can change after they've had like either like Versed or their calming medicine, or, you know, even they've been given the anesthesia. So things like that. And then I think also you can do, just as you're preparing them for surgery, social stories, videos. So you can call and ask, like, do you guys have videos that I can show my child? Do you have pre-op tours? You just want to prepare them for what they're going to see before surgery. So a lot of times I share videos, like even if it's not the exact hospital that you're using or the exact place that you're using, you can go on look on YouTube, pediatric EEGs, pediatric surgery at a children's hospital. And they usually have pretty awesome videos that you can do.
Okay. Just so they know more what to prepare and what things typically will look like.
Yep. And you can ask them, like, do you have a child life specialist at your hospital? You can call the child life department. Can you guys help me prepare a social story for my child because they're coming in for surgery this day? And I think that would really help them. They could probably help you create something or give you some ideas and send it to you, so you know what it's going to look like at their hospital.
Right. How can I prepare my child for a specific procedure or test?
Similarly, I've probably kind of jumped into that a little bit with the hospitalization, with surgery, videos, social stories. Of course, ask me for that individualized one-on-one. If they are having a specific test, let's talk about exactly what your child needs, what we can do to prepare them that's going to be most helpful just for them instead of making this more general. And one thing you can always focus on that I do is focusing on their senses. So what is the child going to see? What are they going to feel? What are they going to hear? So that really just helps them prepare in the way that they learn. Like that's how children are learning. So letting them know through their senses, what are they going to experience, and then validating and providing reassurance too. Like, you feel scared. It's okay if you feel scared or nervous, but I'm going to be here with you, or, so-and-so is the tech is going to be here with you, and they're going to, you can ask them questions the whole time, bringing the comfort items, encouraging your child to ask what questions that they want to know. Like, you're allowed to ask questions. If somebody's coming in the room, you're allowed to ask, who are you? Or you're allowed to ask, why are you putting that on my arm? And that's teaching the self-advocacy skills as well.
Okay. And then kind of related to that, like, how do I help my child who has medical trauma from like repeated procedures, like IVs, blood draws, EEGs, Botox for CP, things like that?
Yes, for sure. And one of the things we try to decrease that, or we don't want there to be the medical trauma. So if the children can have the proper preparation beforehand and practice the proper coping skills beforehand, our goal is to decrease that medical trauma, right? So typically that comes from a bad experience, a scary experience, something that did maybe not go as planned. So kind of starting in your house of whatever tests they're going to have, how can we practice this at home? Like practicing with the real medical supplies. We've talked about this before in other Q&As, like getting those real supplies from your doctor's offices or the clinics or the hospital, things that they don't need or they're going to toss anyway. Hey, can I have that and take it home? But practicing using the Q-tip on the head for the EEG, for instance, practice the rubber band around the arm, and doing these things in a playful way helps kids understand and process. It desensitizes them. They get to use the materials. So it kind of creates this sense of mastery that they're the ones understanding and learning how to use it. So practicing all of those things at home really can help then use them in the real way that they need to use them. And then when you're doing it, I create like little scenarios of, the kid's moving around and how are we going to do his blood pressure if he's moving around? And then they'll be like, he needs to hold still. How should we help him hold still? Do you think he wants to sit on his mom's lap? Or do you think he wants to sit? I wonder what would help him feel better. So you can kind of create these questions for the character, the stuffed animal, or for yourself, and have the kid help you come up with what's going to help. And typically it's something that they think will help them.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So my son had a big surgery this past year. As you know, I used your services. And something that you said really, really helped us. So can you like kind of explain the IV thing and how to explain like an IV for a child that because he had an MRI earlier in the year, woke up from anesthesia and had an IV in his arm, and he got really scared about it. And then so going into the surgery, we wanted to help him feel more prepared. Can you just explain a little bit like how you explain the IV to a child, like what that place like?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like
when
I worked in the ED, that was like every time. I mean, multiple times. That's all we did. We did IVs. So I had my little IV bag, and we would come in and we would talk about how we needed to give you a medicine straw, and it was going to go into your vein. And the veins, do you know what a vein is? It's the little blue lines in your hands or in your arms. Our favorite spot is to find we got to find your strongest vein. Our favorite spots are your hands or your arms. So again, just kind of showing them where it would be. And we go through every single step. We go through putting the rubber band on. Kids hate that rubber band. Adults hate that rubber band. Put a tissue underneath of it, put it over the top of their sleeve. And then if like freeze spray is an option, some people do not like the freeze spray. I do. J-tip. If you have a J-tip at your hospital, ask them for a J-tip. That is a topical numbing that they can use. It just kind of decreases that feeling of the pinch. I would let them practice on me, literally the nurses, and I wouldn't feel it. So those are just some things you can ask for. But going through those steps, so we're doing that. Then we're going to get this cold, wet cleaner. We're going to wipe it on our arm. It's kind of stinky. You want to smell it? They smell it, so they know it's stinky, it's cold, it's wet. That's our cleaner. We always use that. We use lots of cleaning around here. And then we're going to do the IV, and that's the medicine straw. So it's a little pinch. No needle stays in. And depending on the age, I could show them like the needle sticks out of the top, the teeniest bit. That comes out. And this is a medicine straw. And usually they're like, mind blown, right? It's like
Yeah.
a little tiny straw for a little bitty dowel. That's going to give you your medicine. And I would bring that in. I would show that to them, let them feel it, let them touch it. And then we hooked all of our pieces together, just like you hook together Legos or you put together a puzzle. These pieces hook together. And then you get the syringe hooks in. We put water through so they can see how it goes in. And that's how it goes into your body.
Yeah.
And then we go through, then we do tape. Tape goes on top. Sometimes we use a pillow because it's really hard to remember to keep your arm still in that spot and kind of keep it still. So sometimes we use that little hard pillow and we put lots of tape there. But otherwise, that's how you're going to get your medicine. And then they ask questions. They want to do it, but let them play and just kind of discover.
Okay. What can I ask for at the hospital to make our stay more comfortable or less stressful for more extended stays or shorter stays even?
Yeah, definitely. Those long stays can be really challenging for everyone, the child, the parents. So if there's things that you typically have at home that are comforting, if it's music, if it's keeping lights lower, the hospital lights are so bright and sometimes they have to be on. But I remember even having families that came frequently, they would bring this little lamp and plug it in. So it was just a lamp light as opposed to the big giant lights overhead.
Yeah.
Obviously your own blankets, your own pillows, your own pajamas, if they don't have to have easy access to any kind of, usually it's, I feel like for respiratory or for things like that, if they can wear their own regular pajamas. But we also sometimes have those types of things too. Hospitals typically have stashes of maybe some pajamas if something gets on their clothes or if they need something else. Sound canceling headphones. We used to have fidgets and even lots of different chew toys. And I know people did not like that. I mean, when I say that, some people that I work with or even families, they're new, you can ask them if they have new stuff because we have a lot of those things for kids. We know it is a difficult situation and we want to provide things for them. So if there's certain toys they like, books, just the comfy blankets, some families, at our hospital, when we had kids coming in, very frequently, it was typically for a treatment. They kept a bin at the hospital and we kept it for them out in our storage unit.
Oh, that's
when they would come in, they would get their bin. So it wasn't stuff that they had to keep bringing back and forth.
That's really cool.
Otherwise, mats, sheets on the floor. You can ask if they have a music therapist, an art therapist, if they have teachers there. A lot of the big hospitals, I feel especially have teachers that can help with schoolwork and routine.
Yes.
Therapy dogs, decorations for your room, especially if it's a special event. Maybe they're going to be missing something at home. What can we do to kind of bring that event in? That is really important to normalize and let kids still be kids. So volunteers, there's always volunteers around that might want to play or hang out.
Right. And the nursing staff is usually so helpful too for asking for specific things too.
Yeah.
When we stayed in the hospital for a month earlier this year, we have a new baby and the nurse brought us in a mat, a play mat on the floor that we kept in our room for the entirety of our stay. So the baby wasn't crawling all over the floor during her brother's hospital stay. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. In walkers and high chairs and bouncy seats.
Yeah.
And again, if that's for siblings too, if you're going to be there with her a lot, that's hard. So what does she need too?
Can Child Life help set up a consistent routine during longer admissions, or is that typical? Do you have to ask for that?
I think it would be super helpful. I used to do that for sure with kids that were there a long time because I found that they needed some kind of structure. Because if their day was and if they were in for something that I don't know, it wasn't very intense, but they had to be at the hospital for whatever reason, I definitely would create a schedule for them. So I think with the child life specialists and sometimes the nurses would help too, or we would work together to be okay, maybe we can start in the morning. What time are you doing morning meds? What time is lunch coming? Like going through all of those things, I think would definitely be helpful. And then you can be like, okay, well, is there a teacher here? Maybe they can come at this time. Can we get music therapy to come on Tuesdays at this time?
Okay.
So definitely ask, Kate, my kid really does best on a schedule of some kind. And it doesn't have to be hour by hour. It can be from 1 to 3 is free time, and you can pick toys to play with in your room.
Right.
But definitely ask, because I think I saw it helped everyone, not just the child and the family, but then it helped staff to know what was going on with that kid. So I'm like, oh, actually he's going to music therapy right now, so we got to do this before or after, you know. So I think everybody really does better with it. Right.
The next question that we have are, what are some good grief books that you recommend?
I have a ton of grief books. I love using books just in general with kids to talk about different topics, and especially difficult topics, because it really just helps with communication. And we can share some at the end, if that's okay. I mean, I have a list of different, I think we actually have, I don't know where it lives, but we have a list that's like, I have them divided by age group, like a 0 to 3, then elementary, middle, high school. So I don't know that it would be helpful for me just to name some, or if I can't really think of any right now, but definitely list them.
We'll link it out. I know we have some specific to like specific disabilities and things like that. So we'll link those out in our blog post after, in our key takeaways blog post.
Yeah, I have specific hospitalization books, illness, inclusion, grief, like lots of different topics. So yeah, we can definitely link all those in.
Great. Okay. How do I talk to my child about a new pregnancy?
Yeah, I've actually had a few conversations just recently about this too with parents. And we decided to do individual, like one-on-one calls. And I think the conversation after a loss can be particularly difficult and different than pregnancy after your baby with HIE. So I think simple, honest language is best. I think knowing you being in a place that you feel calm and emotionally ready to have this conversation, because there will most likely be some big questions and maybe some hard questions from your kids, and they will need just some honest, simple answers. You can use books, again, like I said, especially when the topic is hard and you feel like you might not say the right thing. Parents often, I don't want to say the wrong thing, I don't want to mess it up. But using a book can give you the words, and then it can also just invite questions that they can ask, and that might be a little bit easier to have that conversation. But I think you can also talk about, and I think focusing on, because if the questions are, well, what if something happens, what if something happens again? And we want to focus on, I'm doing everything I can to make sure I am healthy. I'm doing everything I can to keep the baby healthy, but I'm going to the doctor, I'm taking care of my body. So right now I'm doing everything that I can to make sure that, everything goes the best that it can. But these are the really hard ones to have. And so I think I'm giving you general information, but one-on-one conversations about your family and your child for topics like this can be more are just really important to do, like a one-on-one with, because you want to make sure you're validating all of these feelings that everybody's having and coming up. Like, they're going to be worried, they're going to be scared about lots of things, changes, transitions. So we want to validate all of that as well.
How do I help a sibling feel more included?
I feel like this is probably one of the questions we get most frequently. Which makes sense, right? Because if the child with HIE or the baby, babies in general take a lot of care away from the sibling. Like, their world kind of gets rocked when there's a new baby. And so if there's additional things on top of that, it makes sense that they are like, what about me? So I think especially for maybe the younger group, having them do the same types of things that you're doing with the baby or with the sibling alongside them, like, oh, it's time to change the diaper. Oh, I got to do some a trach care, or I got to do their G-tube feeding, letting them do something similar alongside. So they're taking care of their baby, they're learning to do things, and then including them if they want to be included. Do they want to learn how to do some things? Can they help you mix something? Can they help you pour something? Can they clean something off with an alcohol wipe? If they want to be included, and then praising them for, wow, you are being such a helpful sibling. I appreciate you helping me, or I'm so thankful.
Yeah.
And then they get a hug and like they feel really proud. So including them in that kind of stuff if they want to be. Otherwise, it's like just taking those 10 minutes and 15 minutes to set aside, setting an alarm on your phone. And it doesn't have to be an hour long, you and me are hanging out together. It really can be like 15 minutes, but it's 15 minutes of undivided time.
Yeah.
We're going to play what you want to play right now. Yep. Because that's a more meaningful interaction. So it's like putting everything away and we're going to play whatever you want to play for 15 minutes, but I'm setting the timer. And when 15 minutes is up, then you're going to go do X, Y, Z. So then we know what's happening next.
Right. Okay. That's great. Can there be signs that a sibling might be struggling, but not saying so? And if so, like what would that look like? Or what could that look like?
Yeah, I think that can happen a lot with, we see it a lot through behavior. Behavior is a child's communication.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're misbehaving, what we think is misbehavior, they're acting out or they're not being nice, that's communication. They're letting you know, I'm off, I'm mad, I'm frustrated, I'm not getting attention, I'm feeling lonely or worried. So it's really about kind of figuring out why that behavior is happening. And it could be just a constant withdrawal. I feel like just recently I've talked with a family, like they don't seem to be interacting much with their sibling with HIE. Like, what do I do to get them, to get them to interact more? Or is this okay? Is this not okay? Yeah. And I think that's a conversation to have with them. Do you want to play with them? Do you want to show them some of your favorite things? Do you want to watch a movie together? Like maybe including a little bit of that family time as well. Yeah. But everybody is obviously always included in family time, right? Yeah. It's not just, it doesn't need to be separated.
Right. Yeah. And then the next question that we have is, how do I teach my child to take a pill?
Yeah, this is a tricky one, I think, for a lot of little kids, right? Or for a lot of kids in general. Like, It's not specific to any one diagnosis, that's for sure. So starting really tiny with like the little sprinkles, like little circle sprinkles. And then you move up gradually once they can successfully take that. And we use something that they really like drinking, whatever that drink is, but let's all, hands on deck for this. They can try whatever they want to drink it with. Little tiny sprinkles. And then you move up to like the, excuse me, like the little jimmies, like the little sprinkles that are maybe the tiniest bit bigger. And then you might go to a single nerd, the candy nerds.
Okay.
Then you do like little nerd, and then maybe like little tiny cereals, like a little Rice Krispie, or like think of the little tiny cereals, so a little bit bigger than nerds.
Yeah. And
then mini M&Ms, and then chocolate chips and Tic Tacs and whatever. Like you kind of just incrementally, but you move on to the next size once they can successfully take that one.
Okay.
You can do the same thing with putting it in applesauce pudding and having them take the little candies or whatever in that as well, like an applesauce or pudding or ice cream, having them successfully take it. Because I feel like once they feel the success, or I didn't even feel that pill, like, and I always explain to kids, I'm like, the food that you chew is bigger than this pill. The food you chew and goes down your throat. And so I would even show them like a little tube and like how the food just drops right in. Okay. Right. Like this, like giving them a visual of, oh, that I know it might feel weird, but it actually can go right down and it's smaller than, but sometimes they just have to do the practicing.
Yeah.
And then you can also try like using a straw and putting, drinking something a little bit first, putting the medicine in, drinking something again. So you've swishing it down like with liquid already in your mouth as well.
Right.
Everybody's kind of a little bit different. You got to kind of figure out, but I think the most important thing is just the incremental increases in size of like the candies.
Right. That's great. I never actually heard of that. Like
Really?
slowly increasing the size. Yeah. That's
Yeah. And I mean, because if you're starting with something that tiny, like a little single
It's
sprinkle, like, okay, cool. And then each time, and it's like a small thing, like we're doing this for 5 or 10 minutes, probably 5 minutes. Like no point should it become frustrating, because if it's frustrating, then we're stopping. This is all positive, lots of positive reinforcement. You did it. Okay. You did this one. Do you want to do another one? Should we take a break? We'll try again tomorrow. So it's not going to happen quickly. If it's a struggle, like let it take its time. That's okay.
And then the next question we have is, how do I talk to my child about their HIE diagnosis?
We've talked about this a little bit, I think, and I think there was something that I sent out in SOAR at one point about talking about HIE, and I think we will try to figure out a way
to link that and
make that accessible for everybody, because it was kind of a cool interactive thing for kids talking about different types of abilities or different things that they're able to do or that they notice about themselves and others.
Yeah.
So I think to start with, it's the simple, honest language again. Like that kind of is the basis for all talking about everything. Simple, honest language. There's an injury to your brain. No one is at fault. We don't want to place blame on anyone or anything, because we do not want to create any distrust with medical professionals or doctors. Yeah. Even if that is something that has happened to you as a parent or as a caregiver, we want our children to know that these people are going to help them. So that's the part we don't want to tell them. Okay.
To not interrupt that long-term relationship that these kids are going to have.
Exactly. Because I mean, healthcare is a part of everyone's life, right? But if you have a child with medical complexities, it's going to be something they're going to have more.
Right.
And we want them to have a trusting relationship with them. So simple, honest language. You have an injury to your brain. Everyone did their best to help you and to help mom. Afterward, like your mom was there, or me and your mom or grandma, whoever, we were all there to help you, and we loved you. And the doctor was there, and there was a nurse there, and there was a respiratory therapist, and everybody was there to help you and take care of you. And they did everything they could to make sure you got all the oxygen you needed, you got the medicine that you needed. So really just trying to build up like all the things that happened to help make sure that they were okay.
Right.
And sometimes injuries and illnesses happen, and parts of our body may work differently now. So you see like a friend or family member's body working differently, but then also focusing on everybody's different.
Yeah.
Right? No people are different. Like you might be really good at one thing and your friend's really good at something else, and that's just their strength. Like we have different strengths. So I think you focus on that as well. Okay. Everybody needs help in different ways. Everybody, it doesn't matter if you can see that or not see it, but just letting them know that what they're seeing or feeling, that is happening with someone else too. It just may be a little bit different. And then validating, I think, is super important. You got to validate all those feelings of frustration or loneliness or being scared. And you don't necessarily have to like rush in to fix that feeling. You can just be like, yeah, I bet you are frustrated.
Just kind of sit with them in it. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to. Is there anything that you think, maybe put it on them? Is there anything you think you could do that would make it not feel as frustrating? Like, do you have any ideas? What do you want to do? Okay. And just see what they have. But sometimes you just need to talk about that you're mad and you're frustrated and you're angry, and you can just be that way.
Yeah.
And I think giving them that voice to talk about those feelings and give them the choice of what they could do or maybe that they want to do, that also is starting to promote that advocacy and speaking up for yourself.
Yes.
And the independence as well.
Right. Yeah, that kind of flows into the next question of how do I help my child build more self-advocacy skills as they get older?
Yeah, talking to them and asking them, like, what do you want to do? Giving them, giving them choices in the different situations, which they have choices in. So viable choices. Like when somebody comes in, are you ready to go now? I'd be like, no, I'm not. I don't want to go back there. we're going to go now. Do you want mom to hold your hand or do you want me to hold your hand?
Yeah.
That's a viable choice. So giving them those viable choices, that lets them, it gives them a little bit of control in that situation. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And can you tell the doctor what's hurting? Where does it hurt on your body? Where do you feel that? So I think just being in the room with them, but encouraging them to be the ones to talk to the doctor or the tech or the teacher. Let's figure out a way that we can tell your teacher that where you're sitting in class isn't working for you. And you go through like a little role play conversation. So if the teacher says blah, 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 then what can you say to them? What would be your answer? So I think if you practice those skills at home in just a way that's no pressure, safe, with people that they know and love, then we kind of encourage them to do that out more on their own. So but giving them the opportunity to do it, right? Not jumping in maybe, because sometimes I feel like the doctors do, oh, let me tell you. I mean, that would happen to me. I'd go in and my focus was always on the kid. Hey, my name. And the parent would jump in and I'm like, hold on. Let me hear what they say.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. Let's just double check everything. And then I think the last question that I have here is, what are some signs as a child gets older that they might benefit from their own counseling?
I think it's, again, looking at the behavior, watching their behavior. If their behavior becomes different than what it normally is, than what you think is maybe different what it normally is.
Okay.
Because behavior, again, is communication. Yeah. So if you're noticing things that are going on for an extended period of time, like many weeks, then I think, it would make sense that they might need to talk with someone else, right? That someone else that they could ask these questions to, that they're going to get honest information from, or just help them to process the information, right? Having someone else in their life that supports them, isn't judging them, and just helping them process what's going on, and then helping them learn to cope with that. Right. So just watching behaviors.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions that we have that were submitted and that Annie has noticed and especially frequently from our HIE families. So you can always reach out directly to Annie if you have specific questions for your family or you need guidance on child life related topics. Her email address is annieg@hopeforhie.org, which we'll also link in the blog. And then we will be back for our in August for our next child life Q&A. So thank you, Annie.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.